Hello, hello. Oh, geez Louise. Okay. All right, Gemini, off to a hot start here with the Moon card. This is going to be your reading for February 26th through March 10th. Yes, we are moving into March here. We're moving into some new month, new you, new energy, my fellow Geminis. Let's go ahead and pull out the rest of your cards for this week. These 2 weeks, actually. Okay, Gemini, first off, there's a lot of major arcana cards here for you. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So half of your cards here, Gemini, are major arcana cards, which means that there is some major stuff going on for you. Major arcana cards are archetypes, which means that they represent people or specific aspects of humanity within the cards themselves. And so you'll see oftentimes a lot of major arcana cards are either people or they are major events, things that really shift your perspective or influence your reality, influence your opinion, your personality, things like that. So there is a lot of major energy going on, and so that means there's going to be a lot of shuffling and rethinking and growth happening at this time. So let's start off Monday, February 26th. We had that Moon card fall out for you. And Gemini, this tells me that you are in a point of deep introspection. The Moon is your inner psyche. And you see here that we have these 2 icebergs on the, or actually 3, because there's the one that this person is sitting on as well too. And they say that an iceberg is like 10% above water and the other 90% is below water. So they often look a lot smaller than what they really are. And so Gemini, you are in this case the iceberg. The 10% that is seen on top is only a small portion of you. It's only a small portion of who you really are. And there's a lot of deeper energy going on inside of you at any point. Gemini, the Moon card is this deep dive into this deeper aspect of yourself. And it's also getting in touch with, the light that guides you. You see this person's looking to the moon for guidance or reassurance. It's the light within the darkness. The thing that we find within our deep well of our being that guides us forward in new directions. So, Gemini, you're doing a deep dive on yourself, a deep dive on what guides you within this, and also thinking and considering the direction that you want to go towards, the direction for your future, yourself. Not just your, job future, but also what the rest of your self, your ability looks like. And especially that outward expression. You're looking deep within and thinking about, who am I really on the inside? And am I exuding that energy on the outside? Is this top 10% of me a really accurate portrayal of the other 90%? And how do you encompass 90% of a person in only 10% of a being? Let's talk about your next card here on Tuesday, Gemini. You have the 4 of Cups. Now, sometimes this card has this air of kind of almost being ungrateful or not choosing these 3 cups in front. At least in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot. But this card always feels to me more of as a manifesting. It's almost as if you are looking at yourself. You see these options available in front of you, and you say, no, I have a better idea. I have something else that I want in mind, and I'm not going to accept these other things in front of me because I have a greater vision of what I really want. And I'm going to put my effort, my thoughts, and focus my energy onto manifesting this one point within myself. So, Gemini, this Moon card could very well be you thinking about your future, thinking about what you want it to look like, and the 4 of Cups is you in that manifestation energy. So you took the time to look deep within, think about what you want, and now you're thinking about how to manifest it, and you're thinking about what you want to manifest. Then Wednesday here, Gemini, you move on to the High Priestess in reverse. And this kind of tells me that you might be doubting yourself a little bit. The High Priestess is your connection with your intuition. So you may be questioning your direction. You see a vision, you're manifesting it, and now you're kind of the next day stuck in this space of, is this really what I want? Is this really where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to be doing? The High Priestess is also trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. The High Priestess in the upright, you see, this is a person who has their third eye open. And it's meant to indicate that they, have that clear vision of where they're supposed to go. And not just from a personal perspective, but from a higher perspective of, what you're supposed to be doing, what your purpose is. And so Gemini, maybe take some time to meditate, take some time to connect with your intuition this day, and to, listen and think about what it is that you're supposed to be doing, what you want to be doing. And oftentimes when we take the time to, be silent and listen, we can often get the answers that we're looking for. Thursday here, Gemini, you move to the King of Cups. This card, Gemini, is really interesting to me too, because first off, you have another king, you have the Emperor, and you have a lot of boss energy. You have a lot of this big energy about yourself as a person. So Gemini, you have been doing a lot of work, and you are seeing yourself in this place of the King of Cups specifically as a person who is handling their emotions. This is a person who knows how to honor their emotions, how to take care of them, and they're someone who doesn't allow their emotions to control them. Gemini, props to you for this big boss energy, I guess. The King of Cups just tells me, Gemini, you're in this really positive energy of taking care of and honoring your emotions without being too overly controlling. This card can kind of get like a bad rap of a person who, keeps their emotions outside of themselves with this cup. But you can kind of see he's literally standing in this water here. And it's meant to say that he can stand through all the waves, the ebbs and flow of his emotion, and that he understands that they come and go, and rather than forcing them in one specific way or trying to not feel something, he allows them to flow where they may, and it doesn't shake his foundation. It doesn't knock him over in the waves. He keeps standing upright because he has this, understanding that his emotions are always going to flow. So not getting caught up in the flow of your emotions and just really doing a good job, feeling them and allowing them to move through you instead of controlling you. Friday here, Gemini, we have the Sun card in reverse. This one is kind of interesting to me because usually this card is kind of the opposite. It's like this feeling of not being connected with the things that bring you joy. So I feel like even though, Gemini, you are in this pretty positive energy, I feel like you almost expect it to make you happier than what it really is. And maybe you have been caught up in the idea that doing these things is going to make you happy all of the time. And that's not true. We have to learn to be content with the down times. We're not always going to be in this bright 100%, full energy. You can't always be bright and burning like the sun because you'll burn out. You have to allow yourself this ebb and flow of not just your emotions. This is the ebb and flow of your emotions, but this is like the ebb and flow of your energy, your happiness. The thing that's going to actually bring you happiness in the long run is contentment, not expecting yourself to be in this hyper excited state of joy and happiness. Gemini, depending on what's going on, take that as you will. There's a lot of this confusing energy related with that. I feel like maybe you are searching for something that's going to bring you this happiness, or this, this is like exuberant happiness. This is not just somebody who's happy. This is like somebody who's really happy. I feel like maybe you feel as though it's missing. You have a lot of good building blocks and a lot of good other stuff happening here. Yeah, it's actually the counterpart here for the moon. So the sun, maybe you feel as though you're not burning as brightly. Even though you have all this good stuff, maybe you're wondering what's wrong with you, that you're not burning or having this great outward expression of your joy. And I want to tell you that, it's okay to not be this bright, bubbly, happy person all the time. It's okay to allow yourself to be calm and content without it meaning that you're, doing something wrong. You're not doing something wrong, Gemini. It's just how the world is. You can't always be up, up, up. You have to allow this momentum to happen. Saturday here, Gemini, you have the Three of Cups. And, this can signal love. This can signal connection with your friends. This is just positive synergy between you and maybe some other people. I feel as though, Gemini, it's you honoring different pieces of yourself, especially. You know, honoring that piece of you that maybe you aren't 100% exuberant happy, but understanding that, you know, you don't have to be overly joyous to still be happy. It just means that, you know, your happiness is a little bit quieter. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a little bit of calm happiness, a little bit of calm love. So Saturday, you're ruminating in this love energy, the energy of love around you, the love of the universe, the love of your friends and family, and things like that. Allowing yourself to feel love and be loved and express love. And I feel like that's really the most important part, is that even if you're not in this crazy, bright happiness place, still allowing yourself to feel love and feel worthy. Then Sunday, we move on to the Hierophant in reverse. And this is about releasing control. The Hierophant is the traditional way things have been done. This is the tradition, this is the teaching, the learning, the Hierophant is like the person who oversees things getting done by tradition. And so, Gemini, you may find your happiness and your love outside of tradition. You may need to shake off the weight of expectations of doing things the way they've always been done in order to move into this new space for yourself. You have to release control over some aspect in order to be able to move into this new energy, this new love, this new... I feel like what's really happening is it's a new expression of yourself, in a way, Gemini. It's you seeing what you want, seeing yourself, honoring your power, because you do have power, even without putting the pressure on your... the sun, I don't want to make it sound like it has a bad rap. I feel like society, we want to be happy. We put pressure on us to be happy all the time, to find this, you know, wee happiness energy all the time. And it's like, that's not reality. Reality often has us up and down, and it's okay to find yourself in this middle space where you're not overly exuberantly happy, but you're also in a good place where you're not necessarily discontent or hurting or anything like that. And I feel like you're in this in-between space, Gemini. There's a lot of this work going on, and you're good, but you're not necessarily up, you know, overexcited, exuberant, wee, happy, good. And so the Hierophant in reverse on Sunday, Gemini, is you kind of moving past that idea that we have to be in this happy, excited state all the time. You allowing yourself to be how you are without the expectation and without the traditional idea of how things are supposed to be or how things are supposed to look for you. Alrighty, Gemini, now let's move on to week 2 here for you. And overall, I feel like this is a really interesting energy. And Gemini is the sign of duality. It is a sign about having both pieces, both aspects, you know, yin and yang and opposites. And this energy on week 2 is just really interesting to me because week 1 we're talking about, you know, figuring out on the inside things about ourselves, you know, getting rid of the traditional way of things have always been done. And moving into the energy of week 2, it almost seems like you're really building something. You're really building a new way to do things. And it can be confusing trying to do something and do something new. There's no roadmap. You're building the roadmap for yourself. Now, let's just go ahead and get started. Let's get started. I'll talk about each card so that we can kind of get into that energy a little more. Monday, week 2, you have the King of Swords. And swords are associated with air energy. So King of Swords, air sign, Gemini, right? Gemini energy. I feel like this card is really you. Being within your power, being within your influence. The King of Swords is somebody who has a very good analytical mind. They see the logic and reasoning behind the things that they are doing. And they have a very clear viewpoint, a clear vision of what they want to be doing and where they want to go. And they not only have the skills and experience, but also the willpower to get there and see something done. So Gemini, seeing yourself in this boss energy, seeing yourself in this big, you know, king energy, understanding that you have power, you have confidence, you have ability, you have say about where you want to go, and seeing yourself get there. You have a very clear viewpoint. So Gemini, you are in your king boss energy. The Seven of Pentacles here on Tuesday is also this inner nurturing energy. It's this nurturing something to see it grow, see it prosper. It's investing your time, energy, resources into something so that you can see growth come from it. So on Tuesday, you may be seeing some growth from something. You may be seeing growth from your finances, investments, and not just your money investments, but your time investments, the things that you've been putting time into. So if you've been working really, really hard towards seeing something, meeting a goal for yourself, this could be a very good day where you do see some sort of progress towards this thing. It's also kind of this energy of taking a step back to see how far we've come and to, kind of sit and think about, all the hard work that we put in and really celebrate the growth and the harvest. This is actually before the harvest. It's seeing the work that you've put in to get to this point and thinking back and, just not necessarily reminiscing, but I guess being grateful and seeing the progress pay off in a way. Wednesday here, Gemini, you move on to the Hermit card in reverse. This can mean putting yourself into a place of isolation in order to see some sort of growth. It can also mean the resistance of this isolation or this taking a step back to look deep within. So Gemini, it of course could be a few different things for you. I feel like this is almost, seeing the growth, seeing the progress, and kind of not wanting to think about what this means for you in the long term, or thinking about how this is going to affect you long term from the outcome of this progress. You see yourself on Monday in this boss energy of the King of Swords in your full power and potential. Seven of Pentacles is the result of your actions over the long term and thinking about, the work you've put in to get this harvest, to get this fruit. And the Hermit card in reverse is kind of this, there's something here that you're ignoring, you're not really wanting to hear, Gemini. It can also mean that maybe you have put yourself in a place of isolation where you're not feeling connected with other people, or you're not, thinking about the effect that this prosperity can have in the long run for you. So just some caution here with the Hermit in reverse. I feel this is a lot more of you just kind of refusing to think. Like, you kind of have this, what I'm getting here, Gemini, is that there's something that you need to be thinking about, something that needs to be reviewed by going inward, this inward progress. And you may be resisting it or refusing to do the inner progress for some reason, which is interesting to me. And we were talking earlier about this, opposite energy here for you, Gemini. And the opposite energy of the Hermit in reverse is the Moon card, which was your first card to start off the week. This was you taking the deep inner reflection and thinking about, the iceberg of you, thinking about that piece of you that you're showing the world. And the Hermit card is that deep inner reflection, thinking about the whys of it. It's kind of the shadow work aspect of this. And so, like I said, it's a really interesting reciprocal energy here. It's, hard to say really where that comes from. Let's move on and see if we can get somewhere with it. On Thursday here, you have the Knight of Pentacles. And this is a person who is building and putting an effort towards their goal. This is the planting progress, the planting phase that leads us to the Seven of Pentacles card. So, you could be thinking about the next phase of growth that you need to begin. You could be thinking about the spot that you need to start, where you need to go. Sometimes this can also indicate that you are stuck in the planning stage a little bit, that you're thinking about all the things that you need to do, but you haven't actually done the work to get planting yet. So Gemini, take it as it will, take it either way. It could be that you need to start planting, and it could be that you need to take your energy elsewhere. Friday, Gemini, you move on to the Death card. And this card, this could be what is related to this Hermit card here. You could have sensed that this ending was coming and you didn't want to look too deeply into it because it might be a little bit uncomfortable for you. But the Death card is an end, and with an ending, it also brings new life. This card is not the end of the major arcana. It's actually partway in between. It's this new, moving into this new phase of life. Understanding that, you know, in order for us to accept and move into something new, we have to allow something to go. We have to leave something behind in the process. You can't accept a new beginning or something new into your hands if you're holding on clutched tightly to something from the past. You have to be able to release it, let it go, and open your hands up to fresh perspective, fresh opportunity. And that's what this Death card is. It's the end of something so that you can bring new life, new perspective into it. So Gemini, there is something here that is dying for you. It could be old expectations of yourself. It could be old situations of the past that you find yourself in. Whatever the case may be, Gemini, I just encourage you to, you know, don't shy away from doing the inner work. Don't shy away from that Hermit in reverse energy of taking the time to look deep within. Because ultimately, regardless of whether you choose to ignore it or choose to confront it, it's gonna be here. And it's going to show up for you. Whether or not you choose to accept it, it's gonna be here. So take the time and prepare yourself for it so that when it does arrive, you're ready to receive. Saturday, you move into the Princess of Swords energy, and this is also kind of taking a step back from that King of Swords. This is the energy of needing to make a move, like we said with the Knight of Pentacles. This is definitely that energy of being stuck in the thinking process, as opposed to the action phase. The Princess of Swords is someone who, they see a vision, they see where they want to go, but they haven't done any steps to get there. They're in the planning phase, and the planning phase is, you know, it's really enticing to stay in because we can find ourselves, you know, in the planning phase because it helps us feel productive and helps us feel like we're actually working towards our goals. You know, you can be stuck trying to plan the perfect project or the perfect experience, the perfect whatever the case may be. But if you don't actually take the steps, if you don't actually take the risk and the chance associated with, you know, taking the first step, then you're not actually doing any progress. You're just tricking yourself into thinking that you have done progress. And so Saturday with the Princess of Swords here, Gemini, just be cautious. Don't get stuck in that planning phase. Don't get stuck in that thinking phase. Really put in the work. Put in the time and the energy to actually get something done. Even if it's not perfect, even if what you start with is not perfect, it's at least a step of progress in the right direction. And without that first step, without, you know, allowing yourself to be bad at something before you get good at it, you're never going to get good at it. It's going to take practice and time and energy to get to this thing. You're not just going to wake up one day and have yourself, you know, 10 steps ahead from where you are. It takes planning and dedication and getting there. So don't get caught up in the enticing thing of being stuck in the planning phase. Actually take some steps to get where you want. Lastly, Gemini, we end on Sunday with the Emperor card. I feel like this is kind of the movement in the wrong direction for you, Gemini, because the Emperor is a very controlling entity. This is someone who wants something done exactly their way every time with rigidity. They don't want anything straying from the plan. They have a clear plan in mind, and when things don't go their way, they lose it. They crack down on control. They want things to be done exactly that way, and anything outside of that is not what they want. And so be cautious that this is not your energy, Gemini. Be cautious that, you know, when we are feeling like things are not moving our way, when we're feeling like things are ending with the Death card outside of our control, we can try to cling to control in any place that we can get it. And so, Gemini, just be cautious that you're not trying to cling to control over something that you have no control over. And don't try to exert your will super strongly over something that doesn't need your control anyway. Don't try to control yourself or other people, because it's just going to cause more pain and hurt in the long run. Anyway, Gemini, I know this reading felt a little bit confusing to me because, as I said, there is that bit of reciprocal energy here. You have the introspection and then the not wanting to introspect, and then you have the releasing the expectations, but then we move on to the feeling of control. You know, we even have community with that Three of Cups, and then moving away from community with the Hermit card in reverse. So, Gemini, there's a lot of confusing energy, a lot of back and forth here, so just take it easy. Understand your foundations, where you stand, where you sit with things, and that should make it easier to use discernment and try to, you know, figure out where you really need to be spending your energy. So anyway, thank you for being here this week, Gemini, and I hope that you have a good rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.